Hey everyone, welcome to Fan Room Live. I'm your host, Chanel Omari, and we have a very special celebrity guest here with us today. I know you're all big fans of his because I know I am since the days of Pretty Little Liars and 50 Shades of Freed. And I know you all can't wait to meet him. And during your Fan Room Live virtual experience this Saturday, you're really excited. We're going to get to ask Brant some questions about his days during Pretty Little Liars and what he's working on now and why he's joining Fan Room Live and why this is so important to him during this time, specifically during a pandemic, why it's important for him to connect with his fans virtually. So Brant Daughterty, welcome to the building.
Thank
How
you.
are you? What building? Over Zoom?
Virtually the building. I haven't left my house at all,
Right.
but thank you. I'm happy to be here, Chanel. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for doing this with us. So talk to us about like COVID, the pandemic. We're all feeling it. How are you? How's your family? What are you guys doing to keep sane during quarantine?
We're good so far. We got married last year, so it's my wife and I and our troop of dogs huddled up in our house. Everyone's been safe and healthy so far. Honestly, I feel like we got the easy end of it. As freelancers, my wife and I are both writers and actors. We work from home a lot, so our day-to-day didn't really change all that much. I have a lot of empathy for the people who are displaced more than I am, but so far it's just been us kind of keeping on.
Which is amazing. Congratulations, first of all, on your marriage. 1 year strong.
Thank you very much. We just passed a year last month or 2 months ago. It's very exciting.
That's very exciting. And I love, and you guys are also working on a project together. It's your first director debut. You're directing it with your wife, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's exciting. We wrote a movie last year called Christmas Movie Christmas. It premiered on Up TV and actually set the record for most viewed broadcast of the entire year for the network. It was very exciting for us.
Congratulations. Very exciting. That's awesome.
So we're shifting entirely. We're doing a thriller. It's very dark. It's very much more Pretty Little Liars-esque. And as it stands right now, my wife's going to star and I'm going to direct.
That's very cool. So talk to us a little bit about like the fact that you're in showbiz. A lot of people say, don't mix business and pleasure. How do you maintain and balance, both your acting and producing careers as well as, romantic relationships? And also during COVID, it's not easy, right? Couples are left and right. Like, give us the secret for the single people and for the right. Nobody's having an easy time.
The secret. Oh God, what is the secret? The secret is I found someone who had such shared common interests that like I feel safe bouncing all my stupid creative ideas off of her all the time because I know she's right there with me and she's going to bounce back some equally stupid ideas and then we're not going to feel bad about them. So we don't judge.
No, they are never stupid. Are you kidding? Brant Daughterty, the genius.
No, they start stupid and then they start to get smarter and smarter as they develop.
But that is important to have somebody, a partner in crime like that, who really does get you.
Somebody who can tell you like, this is great, this needs some work, let's figure out how we can make it better. And once we wrote our first script together, we actually got engaged the day we finished writing the script. It was coincidentally, that was the day I was going to propose and we just happened to finish writing it. And I was like, well, this seems serendipitous because clearly we can work well together. So I guess I'm making the right choice proposing.
That's amazing. And what would you say is the best thing that you had to do, like working with her on set? Like what was the best thing you did together?
Oh man. So we got to film our Christmas movie that we wrote last year. And the day we wrote this movie to be set in this town that could never exist. And we weren't sure if it was even going to be possible. It's like this whole Christmas centric village. And our producer found it in this town called Frankenmuth, Michigan. It's just Christmas all the time. And it's amazing. And the first day walking through that town and seeing the cameras set up and all the set decoration and everything. And we were holding hands walking through it, just like, this has been our vision for the last year. And now it's really here and it exists. And that's like the craziest thing to me.
That's so cool though.
Yeah, it
That you
was.
guys can share that experience together.
Yeah, this was our baby, so to speak, and we got to make it, which is very rare.
Yeah. And when can we expect it to air?
So that movie aired last year. The
Right.
movie we're doing now, due to COVID, honestly, who knows?
Oh.
We are currently writing the script as we speak. I got all my script notes on the wall on the whiteboard right next
Yeah.
to me right now. So we're deep into writing. We're probably gonna have to do another draft or two, and then we'll see. I mean, hopefully we can start as soon as possible. I know some productions are already gearing back up, but
Right.
we'll just say fingers
Fingers
crossed.
crossed. Oh yeah. What do why directing now? Why did you want to? Did you always want to direct? And how did you get into acting? Like
Why,
in this
why
industry?
directing? It was, I guess the real question is, why did it take me this long?
Yes.
Because
Why did it take you this long? Yeah.
well, I went to film school actually to study writing and directing and cinematography and a couple other things. And I just got the bug, the filmmaking bug. I've always wanted to do it, and I didn't I didn't see, maybe foolishly, I didn't see acting as a viable career for myself. I saw it as a hobby that I like to do, but I was going to make a career behind the camera. And then I moved out to Los Angeles, and I started working as an assistant. Believe it or not, I was a production assistant on a Bring It On movie.
No way. That's so cool.
And
I also started as a PA, so it's just cool to
for
like,
real,
yeah, on the Maury Povich show. A little different class,
nice. No,
but
I mean that's
and
great.
yeah,
That's
and I
fantastic.
was like, I was an assistant for a lot of people in the business, and that's how I worked my way up. But that's cool to, to know that
No,
you
I love hearing that. You're the best people because you understand what it's like to be at the bottom of the totem
yeah,
pole. And
exactly.
then when I started working and everyone, I was like, I got to be the nicest guy in the world to the PAs because I know exactly what they're going through.
Yeah, exactly.
They're
So
always like,
that's cool
can
that
I get you something? And I'm like, no, I got it. Please. You have a lot on your plate. It's fine.
yeah. That's awesome. So then that's how like you kind of worked your way up to like, earn your dues and appreciate the craft.
Yeah. Yeah. So I did that for about a year. And then a good friend of mine, actress Holland Roden from Teen Wolf, was just like, you know what? You should meet my agent. I'm going to introduce you. He ended up signing me and started sending me out on auditions. And a year later, I was on Pretty Little Liars. And
So cool. And Noelle was born.
yeah.
Bellissimo.
And then subsequently killed 7 years later.
And that's what, so yeah, let's talk about, actually, now that you bring it up, we can fast forward a little bit. Were you shocked by the ending for your character? And what did you think of, the series finale? I mean, bittersweet. Talk to us about just your experience on the show.
It was, it's interesting. First of all, I knew starting season 7 that I was going to come back and I was going to die. So like that was already clear to me. I knew it was going to be, I think 5 episodes, something like that. And then they were going to kill me off. And I was like, great, that's fine. It's going to be the last season. I'm not going to miss out on too much more. That was before they decided to do spinoffs.
Right. Who knew?
um, but I was like, no, it's great. And I didn't know how it was going to happen. So I kept reading every script they would send me. I was like, is this going to be the one? And I would read it. And I'm like, okay, I survived this one. Get to the next one. All right, I'm surviving this one. And then finally I was all alone out on my patio. It was like probably 10 o'clock at night on a Friday. And I just remember getting to the scene where I died. And I was just like, oh no. Oh, just trying to keep it down and not wake the neighbors. And yeah, it
That's
was
hilarious. So you were just as much invested as we were as viewers.
yeah, it's kind of fun. Like you kind of think that like they run you through over everything that's gonna happen, but like every time the scripts come out, all the actors like vultures descend on them because we don't know what's happening. We don't know what's going on next. So like, oh, we're like, what's going on? What's going on? We're like scrolling through for our names, and we're like, okay, all right, cool. I survived this episode. Great.
It's like Survivor of like scripted series.
Yeah,
TV or
pretty much. Like, do I
It's
make
it.
it one more episode? On that show, you never know. You never know.
Do you think that was this like secret to the success of you as an ensemble cast and just of the series? Because it's very hard in Hollywood, to make a show, let alone have longevity with a show. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
you're going on auditions, this is what you live for. I'm sure you've done a million pilots that haven't seen light of day. So how do you, and how do you deal with that? How did you, what do you think was so successful?
There's something they blended on Pretty Little Liars. It was a murder mystery first and foremost, but they never relented on the personal friendship, relationship drama, and I felt like that really drove the show, and that was the heart of it all.
Mm-hmm.
And there was just, and they had like a big ensemble cast, like you mentioned, like people like me and a bunch of other characters who can kind of weave in and out of the storyline and present new ideas and options. And they just they caught lightning in a bottle with that one. They hit on a lot of really topical subjects as they were occurring in popular, in the modern culture, and it was just the right show at the right time. And kudos to Marlene King for putting that together.
Yeah, shout out to, very big, woman empowerment too. I feel like it encouraged a lot of women empowerment movements from that show as well. What was your
It's kind
favorite?
of funny you mentioned that. A lot of people are talking about, women representation in Hollywood, and it's absolutely something that's very important.
Yeah.
But coming from a show like Pretty Little Liars, and I worked on another show called Army Wives, which is also very female centric. Like that has not been
I
my
watched. Yeah, I love Army
at all. Like
right.
my experience is like badass women in front of the camera and behind the camera and calling the shots and everything. And people are like, more women filmmakers, and I'm like, I know where they are. I've worked.
Like you've worked with them. My wife is, one of them, right? I mean,
yeah, absolutely. Like let's get them jobs. They're all really talented people. They should be working more.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I love too, that like you're very about the women empowerment movement and you're genuine about it. And we need more men like you to support too, like the women in the arts,
Absolutely.
In terms of your character in Pretty Little Liars, what do you think was your favorite part playing Noel?
Man, he had this freedom to him that I love. I'm not like that at all. Like I'm a very measured person. Like I'm like the guy.
I was gonna ask you, do you relate to the character? Okay, yeah. The answer away.
Not even a little bit. No. Like, I'm always like the nerdy kid in the back of the classroom, like taking notes quietly.
Were you?
Never spoke up. But no, he had his freedom to him. He would just say whatever came to his mind, and like I'm trying to take cues from that. Not take it as far as he did, but trying to take cues from that in my actual life.
How does that, like, how do you get into character when it's so not you in real life? What inspires you? What do you do to prepare?
Man, to get snooty for a second, my technique is very imagination based. So I like to imagine scenarios that would drive a character's motivations, something that I can find myself relating to in a way. Even if I'm playing a bad character and I'm doing bad things, like I'm finding my own ways to justify that as to why that would be a good thing for me if I was the hero of the story. And that's kind of how I tried to approach Noel, is like, he's the hero of his own story. You're just not seeing all of it.
That makes sense. And that's a really cool, creative way. Yeah, that's why not everybody, can be an actor. Speaking of everyone not being able to be an actor, I mean, have you encountered the rejection like a lot of, actors do? And what did you do to cope with it? What advice can you give us out there who are struggling artists that really want to make it? What's your advice?
I will say that I did not struggle. I still struggle. Don't get me wrong. Like I have not made it.
Well, I mean, to us, you've made it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
No, you've made it. You've had a success, but I know what you mean. Right.
Sorry, will you repeat the question for me?
Sorry. What's your advice for us, to have success in the business? To be a successful actor.
Because it's what has been proven to work for me. Not saying it could work for everyone else, but my advice is to get a very well-rounded education in storytelling. Like I mentioned, I started as a writer-director, aspiring writer-director. And I got this really, really great education in film and how to shoot a scene and the mechanics of it and how to light it and how it all works and goes together and how to write it and how it flows and all that kind of good stuff. And I feel like that's really informed my entire career because, like you said, like being a PA, like, you know, how you've been there before, you know how to handle yourself. And I feel like the more you know about writing, directing, cinematography, editing, all of that, the more you know about acting, the more you know about storytelling. And that would be my advice.
I love that. Yeah, you know what? It's funny because a mentor of mine, when I worked at Anderson Cooper, said to me, Chanel, if you ever want to be a host or anything in the entertainment industry, you got to really know everything. You got to go from PA to AP
Yep.
to producer to, you know, if you got to be the AD and the, you know, help, whatever you got to do to understand the whole formula, that's the only way you're going to know how to, you know, relay a character, right?
Oh, absolutely. And but the quote an AD I worked with as a PA one time, he goes, but also don't be the best at making copies because you're going to get stuck making copies forever.
That's a good,
Learn how to do it all, but don't do the bad stuff real well.
Right, because then you're going to be stuck and then you can't blame it
Yeah.
yourself. Taking it back a little bit, switching gears to Pretty Little Liars, was there anyone on the cast that you felt the closest to, anyone you had challenges with? Like, you know, you're on set with someone all the time. How do you maintain like a healthy relationship with your castmates?
I will say to the girls who were there every single day, 12 to 18 hours a day, don't know how they did it. I wasn't there enough to like get on anyone's nerves, I hope. Or let me rephrase that. I wasn't there enough for anyone to get on my nerves.
Right. That's a good answer. That's great.
So I kind of felt like, you know, I was around like a third of the time. So I came and went and maintained a very happy relationship with everyone. But yeah, I got close to a bunch of people. I was very close with Janelle Parrish. I was very close with Julian Morris. And I, you know, spent a lot of time with Lucy Hale. And I mean, we spent 7 years together, locked in a big soundstage. And I skirted away from any potential drama because that's who I am. Like I said, quiet kid in the back.
Hi, just Gilbert here. No, just Brent here. Just, you know.
But I didn't see any big problems really, honestly. Maybe I just wasn't privy to them. But
or it just seemed that the cast was close though, and just respectful of
they
each
all
other.
seemed like great friends to me the entire time. Honestly, it was like I said, we caught lightning in a bottle on that one. I've done a number of shows that just did not go anywhere, but there was something about Pretty Little Liars and that cast and everyone together, and it just worked, which is great.
And that's why we love you guys. Do you guys think you would ever do a reboot or reunion or?
Well, I mean, they did a spinoff.
A spinoff, right? I know, but it's not quite the same, is it?
It's not quite the same.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. You know, we do like kind of live reunions in these conventions around the world, so to speak. As far as an actual like filmed reunion, I don't know. I don't know if it's been enough time. Maybe give us a few more years.
Yeah.
I don't know if Noel would be back, but I'll come back.
Maybe from the dead.
You never know. There was the quote, you never really know until you see the body. And then you watched my head roll down the stairs. So I feel like
you see, that's what was so great about the show, because you really never knew, even in the end, you know.
Exactly.
Never knew. Now my imagination's imagining things.
Well, good. We got you then.
Let's talk also about a little bit about, you know, the business not being as glamorous or easy. You know, have you had obstacles that you could share with us that you've overcame that can give us some hope?
Yeah, you know, funny that you bring that up. I got one right off the top of my head. I feel like as an actor, there's this certain expectation that if I don't do something, someone else will. And I feel like that can breed a very unhealthy mentality. And I was on a film in the recent past, and we were doing a stunt that took place in the water, and it did not go well. And I realized after the fact that they didn't have any safety in place. No divers, no boats, no lifeguards, nothing to stop it from going badly. And if it had gone badly, it would have gone very badly.
Right.
And so that really woke me up a lot as to the need to take care of myself and to make sure that, you know, that I don't have to be the guy who does the things everything everyone asks for. If you say jump, I don't have to jump. And
Yeah.
I'm reaching that part of my career now where I'm taking a step back and realizing, like, I've got some power here, not to be a jerk or anything, but like to make sure that I'm safe and taken care of, because clearly they're not always looking out for that.
Totally. No, I'm glad you talked about that, because we also talk about a lot of, like, mental health in general, and just in Hollywood, it being not as taboo, and taking care of you first, and not jumping so high when someone says how high. And I do think that's important for people to not feel so competitive to the fact that they're going to sacrifice their own mind, body, and soul for it.
Right. You feel like, all right, well, they gave me the chance, like I'm going to be the star of this movie and they need me to do this stunt, so I'm just going to do it. And then that's who you become. And then before you know it, you're in the water and you're facing a bad situation. And it's okay, that mentality got me to a certain point, but it's not serving me any longer. And how can I adjust and find my way as an artist while also claiming my own space and power?
Totally. I love that. On that note, talking about claiming your own space and power, and just taking your time to find the right projects that you'd like to do, because you are at that point in your career. Anything that you'd like to try out that you haven't yet, in terms of comedy or serious drama, or?
I've always wanted to do action. And
Mm,
I feel like I got a little taste of it on 50 Shades Freed. And I did a zombie show on Hulu called Freakish, which I got a lot of action on. And that was some of the most fun stuff. I loved that. I love doing that. I love comedy too.
yeah,
Uh,
I come from comedy background, so I'm
I
obsessed
can
with
tell
comedy.
you're very funny,
Yeah,
very
very
deep.
animated. I do stand up for 30 years, hence why I haven't made it either. But
For 30 years? What do you mean?
not
How,
30. Well, I'm 36, so not 30 years,
okay,
but
I was like, there's no possible way.
not since, well, maybe since I was 6. I was writing plays and scripts for, like,
Okay.
my families, like around the dinner table, because I had no friends when I was younger, and I was always different. And
I feel that very
yeah,
deeply.
very, very deeply, hence the hair colors. Um, but yeah, so, and I've done different things in entertainment, reality TV to acting, which is another question I wanted to also ask you. Is there's a stigma of typecasting. Like, I did a reality show on Bravo, but I'm also an actress by trade, by technique,
Right.
or comedian. And so there's a lot of stigma of, well, you're just a reality star, or I cannot see you in this movie because you're just this. Have you ever been through that? Like, have you ever gone through that where you felt like someone's asking you to, you can only play this role, or you can only play this type of role?
I've uh it's gonna sound probably narcissistic, but there was this director I've auditioned for a number of times, and every time I audition for him, the feedback is, you look too much like a movie star to hire you. I don't want to work with you. You're too pretty, or whatever he says. And I'm like, well, I don't want to come in and audition for you anymore. Like, why do you keep bringing me in here? I don't understand what are you doing?
Right. Like, that's actually comical, because you're like, well, I can't help what I look like, dude. And, like, just give me a part.
Like, I'm trying to, yeah, I'm coming in here. I'm giving you a good read. Like, come on, give me a break. Like, you're holding this against me. I'm sorry.
Right. Right. But that could be a challenge that people don't realize
It
either.
is. You hear, like, who was it? Army Hammer, I think. He's like 6'5", and he was like, that was the biggest hurdling block for him. He was like, no one would cast him opposite anybody because he towers over everyone. But he's now a massive movie star. He's a very talented guy.
Right. Any advice on how to get out of that, or what you've done for yourself to separate yourself from that?
I have been trying. It's been sort of a goal of mine the last 5 or 6 years to always be changing. And that might sound weird, and it's probably not great for my agent and manager because I'm never the same. But
Yeah.
I've been, I'll put on some weight and I'll lose some weight, and I'll keep trying to figure out where I fit, because I did the Pretty Little Liars sort of smarmy teenager thing for a number of years. And then I wanted to get away from that. And then I started doing some comedy. And then I wanted to do maybe some other things. And I just always feel like as an actor, it's your job to keep evolving. And I feel like I'm just trying new things all the time. It's a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah, that is what I love about acting too. Like a lot of times I talk to like the comedian like community, or just like other artists, and a lot of, or people in general, just always like to say like, oh, you can't do this, or but you're this. I mean, has anyone ever said to you, or what is your advice to people like the internet trolls who are like, well, you can't do that, you didn't do this, or you don't have experience in that, you know,
I
hate
would
the
say
haters?
like that. I don't think that's a negative. If you look at some of the most talented people who have come from like wildly different things, like the first person that comes to my off the top of my head is Aquafina,
Mm-hmm.
who just jumped ship to become an actress, and she's so good, and she's holding
Yes.
down all these movies. She got her own TV show now, and she was a musician just a number of years ago. I mean, she's been acting less time than I have, and her career's just blown up.
Right.
I would say no, don't listen to any of that. Do whatever you want. You know what I mean? Like some of the best performances I've ever seen are from non-actors. Like do whatever you want.
Totally. No, that's amazing for you to say too. And then it gives the fans that encouragement as well.
Absolutely. People love to
Talk.
tell you
Yeah.
you can't do things.
Yeah. What'd you say? I'm sorry. Say that again.
I said people love to tell you you can't do things, but
Yeah.
that's more of a reflection on them than it is you.
I love that. That is very encouraging. Let's talk about 50 Shades of Freed.
Yeah.
Woo! What a movie!
What a curveball that was, huh?
Oh my God, what a movie though, too. You guys are just all beautiful people, first and foremost. But besides that, it's like
That was a
I'm
fun one
just
to
eating
film. We had
I
a
was
good
eating
time.
the popcorn, and my mom, I just want to make you laugh. She's from she's like a Queens Brooklyn girl, and we all make fun of her. She's like, oh my God, I can't. It's Brant Daughterty. I just can't. And I'm like, Mom, relax. She's like a Jewish yenta from Brooklyn. And I was like, Mom? She's like, why? Why can't you just marry someone like this? I just don't I said, you don't understand? I don't know. Maybe because he's a movie star, and maybe because he's married. But anyway, I just want
Could
to.
be because he's
She's
married.
just funny. Yeah, maybe because he's married. But it was just hilarious. But that movie is so. I mean, every woman at every age. Like, how does that make you feel? That you can contribute also such like great art.
I mean, that was the wild, especially to jump in on the third one when it's already become this like juggernaut.
Yeah.
It was such a wild experience because they only get bigger and bigger as they go on, and I jumped on at the biggest one, and like, we're wrecking cars and doing car chases through Seattle and like, or Seattle and Vancouver. It was just the craziest experience. I was actually filming Pretty Little Liars simultaneously, so I would fly back and forth like sometimes day to day.
Wow.
And Pretty Little Liars is an amazing experience, but then you go to 50 Shades Freed and you're like, oh, now we're going to crash an Audi today. That's what we did today. All right, that's cool.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, I was going to be like, how does, was that challenging for you, or what was your favorite part? Just you're playing two different people, obviously. So,
yeah.
How did you cope with that? How did you, prepare for that?
Honestly, we spent the schedule on a film is especially on a film like 50 Shades is so luxuriously slow. It's like a gift from God. I've never been given this before. I've done soap operas, I've done live theater, I've done television, and it's all this breakneck speed all the time, filming, shooting, changing. And on this movie 50 Shades, they're just like we would finish a take and James the director would yell cut. And when we would just kind of talk about it for a second, and the energy was just very, very low. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, it was very low pressure. And everyone, I felt like it really tuned in some really natural performances from everyone. So to go from that to going back to Pretty Little Liars, where they're like, all right, we're going to beat you in the head with a crowbar and we have 15 minutes to do it. And you're like, okay.
You're like,
Right? It was interesting. It was an interesting.
Does it ever affect your mental health though, acting, or no? I mean, you can go in and out of character pretty.
And there, I'm glad that you say that. I told you that my sort of technique is very imagination based because I very firmly believe that acting is not therapy, and I I don't want to have to draw on the terrible things that have happened to me in my life to feel bad for a character. I feel like as an actor, you can be empathetic. And if I can imagine that situation as fully as it really is really existing, then I can put myself in that and I don't have to use my own trauma, so to speak.
That does help, though, also with actors that are going through mental health, to help them
Yeah, I
differentiate.
just,
It's important.
there's certain experiences in my life that I don't want to have to draw on set in front of a dozen people to get an emotional reaction. That doesn't
Right.
make me feel good as a person.
Hmm.
But connecting to a character who is going through an experience that I relate to so deeply that I can put myself in his shoes, like that's much more powerful to me and also doesn't destroy my psyche.
Right. Totally. I love that. That's beautifully said too. Um, uh, Speaking of destroying your psyche, Dakota Johnson, how she uh, she would destroy my psyche in a good way. I love her so much. She's amazing. What a talented actress.
The
How,
sweetest
how
girl.
was it? How was it working with her?
She's I mean she's the star of the show, so you go in with like a little bit of reverence and respect for her and her craft and everything, but she comes up right from the jump, big hug, hi, I'm Dakota, every day I see her, hi Brant, how are you, nice to see you. She's just like the genuinely like the nicest person. uh and coming into a big budget film like that, I don't know any of these people. Maybe somebody's got a huge ego. I have no idea. And I saw none of it. Nothing like that at all from her or Jamie or anybody. They
Oh,
were
that's
all
amazing.
such really giving, talented people who are just there to do a good job.
So nice to hear too. Like, especially coming from another actor, that's really nice to hear. So now, I mean, you're working on a lot. So let's talk about Fan Room Live. This is a virtual experience happening Saturday where your fans get to meet you up close and personal, like me.
Yes,
And
so
they get to
excited.
be side by side with you, meet and greet, and talk to us about, how excited you are. Why did you decide to join Fan Room Live?
Well, over the last few years, I've been fortunate enough to be able to travel and do some conventions here and there, and I have found them to be some of the most rewarding experiences. And we're all stuck indoors right now, and there's a lot of negativity in the world right now. So I felt like if we can still set up a time to go meet face to face, get some FaceTime, actually connect with people, chat, cheer some people up, cheer myself up. Uh, I think
That is true.
that's a great win-win for everybody. And I just genuinely love connecting with people, and I'm happy to see some old faces and see some new ones as well.
We can't wait. Everybody is super excited, crazy excited. So we can't wait for that
Thanks.
happening this Saturday, August 15th. Make sure you get your tickets, fanroomlive.com, before they're all sold out, because they really are about to sell out. So
Yes, and I
uh,
would love to see you there. So please do.
you see, he's begging. No, I'm just kidding. He's asking you,
I
ladies.
got the prayer emoji going. Come on.
Okay. We have a few more minutes and we'll wrap up, Brant, but is that
Sure.
cool?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Um, has been your favorite movie or show that you've started, and why?
Wow. It's gonna be, you know what? Honestly, it was a web show I did called Relationship Status, and not many people saw it, but
I've seen it. Yeah, I know what you're talking
all right,
about.
well,
Yeah,
thank you. I
that's a
appreciate that.
really good show. That's
Yeah, it
amazing.
was honestly the quality of the writing on that touched me so deeply. And I related to the character so much. And it was produced by Milo Ventimiglia from This Is Us fame and a number of other things. And when they called me to offer me the role, he called me personally to let me know that he wanted me for the role. And I've done this motion several times already today, but my head exploded. And I just remember running. I was outside at the time, and I was like running up and down the street. And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, I would be happy to take it." Like just trying to keep myself together.
You are funny. Yeah. You should
I,
be doing
yeah,
more
you know what
comedy,
I
by
mean?
the way.
Like people feel like, "Oh, you're in Hollywood. Like, no, you're never affected by any of this." And I'm like, Milo Ventimiglia called me to offer me a role, and I'm just like running up and down the street. So
That
that
is
might have been my
hilarious.
favorite.
That's amazing. That would have been a great for reality TV.
Yeah, yeah, I know. If only
Would have
it's
been
somebody who's been filming that.
if only
My
YouTube
manic
star.
energy.
Do you have also any like tips on, how for like people who are married or in a relationship and they want to get into showbiz or they're already in showbiz? Any tips on how to balance, I guess, a healthy lifestyle, a healthy relationship?
Ooh, it helps very much that my wife is an actress and therefore knows the ins and outs of it.
Hmm.
So if I go to set and have to kiss a woman for 3 hours, that's not a big deal, and we understand that. So I would say you got to learn to separate the job from your real life, because I've done shows where you do a lot. It's a lot of negativity. I've done some very heavy movies. Then you have to leave that at the door.
Yeah,
You want to come home and have a successful relationship at the same time.
that's great advice. Actually, very wise advice because it is hard to just leave things at the door and not bring it home. That's
Yeah, I've done. It took me a long time to learn that too. I would come home from set of a very heavy day of filming some very negative stuff, and I would be in a very bad mood for a while. It took me a long time to learn to let that go. But
totally
like I've said, and like you said earlier, like your mental health is the most important thing. So you got to take care of yourself.
most important thing because you don't want to end up like me, folks, dyeing your hair silver gray out of nowhere. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, I'm. I think I'll be okay. I mean, I'm also an
I like
actress.
your hair. I think it looks great.
Thank you. Some people were like, "Oh, it's gray." I'm like, actually, it's silver gray, and it's about to be silver white. So
Yeah.
there's a process.
Yeah, my sister-in-law has silver hair. It's super.
Oh,
It's
she
super
does?
in
Yeah,
right
it's super edgy, right? It's
now.
super in. By the way, fashion question, because you do have good fashion sense. Is that something purposely you do? Like, do you take pride in like just changing up your outfits all the time besides on set?
I try. I dabble in fashion here and there. I feel like lately I've been buying clothes at too fast of a rate, and I have nowhere to go. I never leave my house. So, like,
Well, you're gonna still
Fan
you
Room
still
Live
need
is
to look good on Fan Room Live. Yeah.
this is the thing. This is my experience. I got my hat out. I'm gonna get my.
Right. You're
It's
gonna get some
Saturday. I'm
Fan
wearing
Room
my
Live merch,
put my good
Sat-
jeans on.
Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna actually put pants on, maybe.
Right. All right, that reporter, did you hear that story with the reporter from home? And Channel
No.
4, they filmed him. He wasn't wearing pants. He didn't know that they were filming him live. I'll tell Jeff to send you the video. It's
Oh, yeah,
hilarious.
that's fantastic. I love that. Poor
It's so
guy.
funny. So I think, yeah, we're right. That's Brant Daughterty for you guys. I got it right. The last name I'm pronouncing it
Yeah,
right, right?
I nailed it. Very
I
impressed.
mean, okay, thank you. Thank you so much for your time. And we can't wait to have you on Fan Room Live, virtual experience Saturday. Make sure you get your tickets, fanroomlive.com, to book Brant, and you can book him for a lot of sessions. So that's the beauty of this, in case you missed this, but I wouldn't. It's going to be sold out. That's right. And I'm buying myself 6 tickets. That's right.
All
For
right.
me, no, I'm just kidding. For me, myself, and I. But Brant, really, thank you so much for everything. Where can everybody follow you?
You can follow me everywhere at Brant Daughterty. It's a pretty unique name, so I didn't have to put up a fight for it.
I love that. And yeah, and we'll see you soon. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I can't wait. Thank you so much for everything. Can't wait to see you guys on Saturday.